another steamroller manufactured by Burrow and Company, Charles Burrow at Thetford in Norfolk, in Kent. The Burrow is probably 12 going on 13 tons. Both of them are single-cylinder machines, and they were used up and down the country for many, many years. In the first instance, back in the 1890s, for making waterbound roads. This is a two cylinders, 140 drive. It was made in 1977. I mentioned the problem earlier with regard to waterbound roads and then going on to tarmac. Big heavy machines left a dwell, i.e. a bump in the road, when they're reversed. Also, steamers were very clever in that they made a very quick reverse machine, like this Wallace Advance. It was called Advance because that's what it was, an advance in the design, and they were able to sell a huge number of this type of roller, not just in the UK, but also they had an agent in Switzerland, Ulrich Hamann, and they got rid of quite a large number of rollers to Switzerland, several of which still exist there. Has been put through its paces just at the moment. Just be careful of going backwards, you don't crash into something, but this gives an opportunity to just demonstrate how easy it is to reverse this machine. It's got disc cranks rather than large flywheels as on most of the other engines. It's owned by Andrew Coulthard, Andy Coulthard, and it lives in the Nottinghamshire area. The engine about to pass the commentary point is Rob Tyler's Fowler Tiger tractor. Built in 1996, I remember it at the sale in 1,000,001 bits. And very nicely it looks too now. Another conversion, steamroller conversion, is coming past at the moment, done by Alex Steele from Scotland. This used to be a very nice tar spring roller, but again it's been remanufactured into a showman's type tractor. Fowler roller, passing the commentary point at the moment with a little water trailer on it. It used to work in Scotland. It's named Pentland Queen, which has nothing really to do with the Pentland Firth. It worked in Midlothian and at one time for the Lasswade district in Midlothian. I understand that the location of the depot in that area was somewhere adjacent to a road by the name of Pentland Road. So that I think is where its name comes from. We now have another Evelyn roller, ex-Kidderminster Borough Council, and belonging to Simon Gill from North Yorkshire. a 10-ton piston valve machine. This is unusual for a steamroller in that it is on rubber tyres. It's a common fad these days in some respects to put steamrollers on rubber tyres because it makes it easier for the driver, because you've got to bear in mind of course that steamrollers are built with metal roads, unsprung generally, and therefore driving something of that nature on the road these days is something of a purgatory, shall we say, if you're going to go any length of distance. But putting it on rubber tyres makes it very much nicer for the driver, and also it's nicer in some respects for the steamroller, the machine itself, because it gives it that little bit of springing. So when it was re-imported or imported to the UK in recent times, it came back from Sri Lanka. In the previous ownership of Les Don, it's been magnificently restored, and an awful lot of work has been done to it over a long period. It is significant indeed that Les is driving it today. He's bought himself a different steed. He's bought himself a Sentinel steam bus, which is on with the restoration of at the moment. So he's very kindly helping Nigel Guite out to drive the Howler roller today. The next one is another of the Guite family's machines. It's an enabling called Old Tom. It's a single cylinder piston valve machine. It was at one time a steamroller. It was then converted into a showman's engine. Didn't look very nice. Nigel's taken the opportunity to revert it into a very nice looking enabling tractor. McLaren road locomotive Captain Scott, a regular attender here. The owner is sitting on the footplate up there, been driven I think by Tony Lamb today, but the owner, John Blagg, is now over 90 years old. He's owned the machine for over 60 years, which is a long time in steam engine preservation. It was built in 1913 and it was supplied locally to a firm called Whitelocks in Conisbrough, which is not 1,001 miles away from here. This rather remarkable looking Hornsby traction engine, unusual in many features, is actually owned by a church farm museum in Skegness. It's brought here today by the owner of a Marshall traction engine, a Marshall steamroller, David Hurley, whose steamroller is off the road at the moment because it's undergoing major boiler repairs. David has actually brought this Hornsby 1892 Hornsby engine along for an outing. We now have a small Eveling and Porter steamroller, a 6-tonner, dating from 1896, supplied new to Lord Langattock in Monmouthshire, and I had the opportunity of looking at that particular steamroller in the early 1960s when I went to visit a great aunt and uncle who lived at Ross-on-Wye. So it's somewhat familiar to me. Number 3781, most unusual in that the flywheel on this one, unlike all the other engines on the field, is actually inside the frames rather than on the outside. Its wheels are tired and it's got the cylinder to one side on the boiler. It has a clutch, which is somewhat unusual as far as the engines in the UK is concerned. It's got double bunkers at the back and it's a most unusual machine. It was imported a few years ago by Tony Ledbury, who's unfortunately not here today. No longer with us, I'm afraid. But very well restored. Tony had a passion for American engines. This is the White. George White is a Canadian engine. And there's also, I think, a case, WA case, in his collection as well. We now have a rather interesting Fowler traction engine, travelled a long way to be here. came from Australia, not just to this rally, you understand, but it's an import from Australia. It went out there 1908 or thereabouts. It's owned locally by Andrew Biglands on the farm for driving crushing machines or driving saws for cutting wood. But it's following a Garrett undertard wagon belonging to Mick Walters, who lives near Cleckheaton. Mick drove this here yesterday morning. It's actually been driven now by Richard Briggs, I can see. Very nice, Richard. Built in 1926, and it worked down in the south of England for many, many years. A very good recreation, restoration actually by Mick Walters, and it has been followed by a Sentinel wagon, an S4 Sentinel of 1934, which again was supplied new to Elster Rural District Council and was later absorbed into the large fleet of Derbyshire County Council, probably around 1930, because there was a major reshuffle of responsibilities for road making in April 1930.
Engine the full-size capacity used to carry cider.
These are just mini versions of them. They'll do best mini and best mini.
This way back to the commentary box as we speak, and that's run by Ricky Hodgson and Kirsten Snell of Barnsley, and that's a 3-in-3. Number 3 is called Talon, just way back to the commentary box, and that's a 10 NHP McLaren Road motor, and it was built in 2003, and it's still ongoing in its build, and that's come from Mansfield. Number 15 next is our commentary box, and that's the Borough Agricultural XBC logo called Victoria, built in 1988.
Where did Sweden? Sweden or where? We've got somebody that was on holiday on the ship. Ah. What, these? Yeah.
WHP. They're extremely lucky here today, ladies and gentlemen, at Aqua. We're at Sheffield, we're at Aqua in a couple of weeks. At Sheffield Steam 2017. To see so many wonderful steam engines. The only place other than what you're going to see here really is the enormous steam shows, such as Dorset, etc. But for a show of this size to have such a large amount of steam engines is absolutely amazing. Okay, so we're going to have the bikes in very shortly, and then at 2 o'clock we've got the commercial vehicles, and then at 2:30 we're going to be doing one of the tractor games, and 3:30 we're then going to be having the commercial, 3 o'clock we've got the gun dog display in, and then at 3:30 we've got the classic cars coming. So there's still plenty to see and do in the arena this afternoon. Take time to have a look at some of our trade stands. There's all sorts going on, especially in the food stalls. We have a few auto jumble stalls as well. Take time to go have a look up at them. There's a sweet stall right up at the very top there called the Tub Shop. Fantastic beer on in the beer tent at the moment. All sorts of interesting arrays of beers and ciders, all real ale and real cider in there. We have the wood carving stall, or the engraving stall up at the top of the arena too, and they've got a fantastic array of outside lights, LED, all sorts of things to furnish the outside lighting department within your house. We've got Laura's Fudge doing a roaring trade there, and of course we've got the Rose Cottage pie stall. Now they don't want to take any of them away. Go and make them an offer, see what you can get out of them. They've done a fantastic trade this weekend, and they've provided us with the prize for the tractor reversing competition earlier on. So huge thank you to them, and also to the Tub Shop. They provided the prize for our tractor quads game. So we'll be doing that a little bit later, about 2:30.